But to me, reading was the greatest thing in the world.
And that's the reason I care so much about the fans.
As arguably one of the world's most influential people, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the top 4 secrets to Stan Lee's charisma. The first key, you could argue that it's something that not everyone can do, but just listen carefully to what I say next. But the first key, I think, is that Stan Lee made himself synonymous, his name and his face synonymous with everything Marvel. And because of that, he was very memorable. Everything he said had even more effect. And it's just like everything that he says and does and his entire persona is doubly as powerful.
Artists were drawing him into the comics. This wasn't Lee's idea, but the fans loved it and started to put a face to the name they saw associated with their favorite comics. Lee also began writing editorial columns directed at fans.
So as you were seeing in that clip, Lee was basically taking action to, have himself incorporated in movies. Artists were drawing him into the comics. He was writing to an editorial and responding to comic book readers who were writing in like a very informal and personal way, where they really got to know him better and really enjoyed his stuff. And he was always marking it with his own trademark of Excelsior. But it's really something that anyone can do, even as you just yourself being like the brand that anyone in the world is, right? Like your own persona, your own reputation, personality is a brand. When you do or say something, it adds or detracts from your reputation, which is what everyone knows your brand as. Just like if Coca-Cola had some big scandal, people wouldn't want to drink Coca-Cola after that because then they're associating it badly. They're associating bad things with that brand.
And I realize it's so lucky to have fans who really care about you. And that's the reason I care so much about the fans, because they make me feel so great.
Another quality that I think sets Stan Lee apart is his genuine passion and real true love for his fans and for other people in general. Like to really be creating the comics and get enjoyment and real satisfaction out of that, he had to have a real connection with other people and comic book readers everywhere, that they were getting inspired by Spider-Man or Batman or another one of the characters that he created. And in connecting with that character, they were actually able to grow as a person. He felt and as you saw in this last clip, it's you can't get more genuine than that. It's obvious how grateful and how much emotion he's feeling in that moment where he's talking about his fans and how he feels about them and how they feel about him in return. And it's he's talking about, there's nothing that's on point with that. There's no other feeling like it. So I think that is a quality right there. Charismatic people, when people have that feeling towards other people, they're naturally just gonna treat each person with so much respect and care in their life that you automatically will become 10 times more charming and charismatic.
Me, a hero has to be somebody who will sacrifice or will take great chances to help others, but still have human traits, still not be perfect. When they become perfect, they become dull.
The thing is, Stan Lee obviously wasn't the first guy to create a comic book character. But the thing is, he was the first guy to create a comic book character that really just stood the test of time and stayed remembered in people's minds. I don't even know if that's proper grammar, but you get the point.
There was just something so relatable to the origins and backstories he would give these characters, that readers found themselves being like, whoa, Spider-Man is just like me. He has trouble getting the girls and is wondering how he's going to get his bills paid.
The thing that this guy is saying in the video is that Stan Lee would create characters that had flaws to them. They weren't just perfect people. They weren't just these crazy superheroes that could do anything, were just invincible and perfect, because no normal person can relate to that, right? When you see someone else's flaws, even if they're minor flaws, it humanizes them and makes them infinitely more relatable. You see Superman and he has this weakness to kryptonite. It's no longer he's like this invincible guy. He has weaknesses too. He has shortcomings, things that he has to work on. So it's because of that, you can feel related to also his strengths as well. And so Stan Lee really did that well, but also in terms of his own personality.
What was the most character like you?
Probably Iron Man.
Yeah.
Because, he's so handsome and intelligent and clever and, it's got to be him.
I think it's the same thing. It's literally within himself. He has that strong, bravado, charismatic personality, but he's also really friendly and genuine and nice. and upbeat, and you see that like he has this genuine like nerdy passion for comics, for example, right? That's not like the perfect like cool thing to do or be, but it makes him infinitely more relatable to everyone who's into comics and who's passionate about comics. And when they're seeing that, they get inspired by Stan Lee through the other aspects of his persona. Okay, so the fourth secret, I think, to Stan Lee's charisma, in addition to like his obvious likability and like, charm and everything, him smiling. Also, that's another thing, just mini thing. Pay attention to him smiling in interviews or just when he's talking stuff. He's always smiling at the person after he like finishes something, and that's very likable. Like there's something in our brains when you see someone smile that it's like you instantly just want to smile back and like, be part of the fun and everything. But going to the point is the fourth quality I think about him is he has this hybrid of being like very passionate, very genuine, very likable, but he also has this cool factor to him, right? Like he's a cool guy. Like he's always wearing the glasses, and he kind of made that synonymous with his brand. But just also notice the way that he talks, which I'll show you in a second. When he's telling stories, he does it in a very deliberate way. I myself have a tendency to talk pretty fast, but Stan Lee talks slower and more deliberate, and like, he really gives main points to his stories. And pay attention to his tone of voice when he talks. He talks with inflections in his voice, and really finality in everything that he's saying.
How do you prevent writing down?
You just don't do it. People have said to me all my life, or all my writing life, who do you write for? And I've said, I don't have an audience in mind. I write for myself. I write stories that I think I would like to read.
So one clip that I think you should pay special attention to is the one where he's saying, on Larry King, he's like, when people ask me, who do I write for? The way that he answers the question, like his tone of voice and the way that he tells a story.
Action, fight scenes, that's all they cared about. Not too much dialogue. We tried to make it different at Marvel.
I think that's a really good example of what makes him cool. Part of it is the way he talks and carries himself, and it's also the glasses, like, it gives him that added cool effect. And like, the fact that like he basically ran Marvel at the time. But he's like, I write for myself, right? Like he says things with finality, with exclamation. Stan Lee is really one of those people that's going to be really dearly missed in our world. And just for the fact that for many people, Stan Lee was their childhood, like as like the person who was basically synonymous with Marvel Comics and creating a lot of the characters that people grew up with. It's so hard to see him pass on and, and just, not be in our world anymore. But it's like, I think forever Stan Lee's legacy will live on. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this video about his charisma. If you guys got something from this video, I want you to smash that subscribe button and leave a comment, whatever you think. Yeah, until next time.